told Mr. Bari will be joining us very soon. Sushant Sareen, I want to come to you first. What's going on? Terrorists out on bail, ISIS flags on the streets of Dhaka, terror groups taking on protest rallies.
Madhav, it doesn't leave much to imagination to what's going on in Bangladesh. And in fact, this was one of the fears which India had even a couple of years back. And after the Sheikh Hasina government was overthrown illegally, I should add, this was a very serious concern. And there were manifestations of terror groups coming into their own. There were very clear indications of that happening. And initially, it was believed that, look, because of the kind of chaos which existed after, governance had failed in Bangladesh with the overthrow of the Sheikh Hasina government, it was felt that it was that particular vacuum which led to some of the pogroms against minority communities, the targeting of people. But then subsequently, it's turned out that this is a clear and concerted and deliberate move by the new regime. Incidentally, it's rather ironic that somebody who's heading the regime is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. These days, Nobel Peace Prizes also come very cheap and people are actually lobbying for them. But this is a guy who's got a Nobel Peace Prize. And under his watch, these are the kind of groups that are roaming around with complete impunity. Minorities are being targeted. Journalists are being targeted. The number of journalists who have been booked for murder, this is something entirely bizarre. I've never heard this anywhere in the past. You can, can book a journalist for sedition, for under other charges, for spying. 500 charges you can put on them. But journalists being accused of murder is the first time I've heard. And it's not one or two. There are multiple instances where journalists have been booked under murder. Political leaders have been put in prison. There is no due process being given to anybody. It is like kangaroo courts being run. And there is this guy who's presiding over it all. And then on top of that, so apart from all these non-state actors, which are quasi-state actors now, I should say, you have the Pakistanis jump in.
Absolutely.
And the is trying to reignite the flames of jihadism inside Bangladesh, something which Sheikh Hasina had very valiantly tried to put a lid on.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a proper, it's a disaster in the making.
Absolutely.
But it's going to hit the Bangladeshis in the first instance. And then, of course, it will spill over into India.
Absolutely. And in fact, let me bring in Sushil Pandit on that point. Sushil Pandit, the manner in which this regime is engaging with Pakistan, the manner in which terror groups are being, mollycoddled, allowed to, hold open rallies, this is really what we've seen, the Pakistan template being employed now by Bangladesh. The big question is that now, perhaps in a few years, after spreading all of these nefarious activities, you're going to have Bangladesh come out and say, look here, we are a victim of terror. Whereas this is the kind of perpetration, the same language that Pakistan speaks. We can just see that happening. We can see that model playing out.
Absolutely right, Madhav. Thanks for having me on the show. This is Pakistan trying to create East Pakistan all over again. And if they have their way, they are very likely to do this, given some more time and a longer rope by their benefactors all over the world. And this is what it seems suits a lot of other powers who have created this into an arena for competitive clout and influence. We must not forget that during the liberation war of Bangladesh, Jamaat-e-Islami opposed that Mukti Sangram, that liberation war. And it survived that war. It thrived in subsequent years after a series of coups because the basic radical element in the society was never dealt with. It was allowed space and it had its own ups and downs. But now it has found very benign leadership and canopy to rapidly grow under, to regain influence, to reconnect with the lost connection with Pakistan. And now you can see it very rapidly climbing up the power ladder under Mr. Yunus. So Bangladesh is going the Pakistan way if it is not checked very fast. Pakistani military, Pakistani bureaucracy, Pakistani diplomats have a visa-free entry in Bangladesh now. This is formally. Informally, you have stronger liaisons. To the extent that Asim Munir found the courage to threaten us that their next operation will start from the east. So you can realize what is cooking.
Absolutely. And in fact,
This is bizarre.
I want